All right, so let's talk a little bit about serve strategy, because I think, I've talked about this before. At the recreational level, the purpose of the serve might be a little bit different than at the Pro Tour. At the Pro Tour, these guys have bombs, and a lot of the times they're just trying to win the point outright with a huge first serve. A guy like Roddick or Soderling in doubles, the Bryan Bros, right? They're trying to just, hit this massive serve and win the point. At the rec level, where the serves aren't nearly as hard, I think it's a little bit different. I think what's important is a high first serve percentage that sets up a play. We've already seen one of these plays with the 1-2 punch, right, where I serve out wide, that gets Andre off the court, and then that gives me a ton of open court to work with. Now, very important with that first serve, you got to have that high first serve percentage, because I'm just hitting a second serve and trying to get it in. That was actually way better than I was going for. That thing was angled. You're not going to have that kind of accuracy. You're probably going to put it right down the plate. So high first serve, consistent first serve, super important. And then you got to be mindful of your placement, because where you put the serve is going to elicit a certain type of return. With the 1-2 punch, you ready, Andre? I'm going out wide, and that's going to elicit a cross-court return, right? That actually wasn't as cross-court probably as Andre had wanted it. Okay, so if I go out wide, it's much more likely for a return to come this way than it is for the return to go down the line. So that's why the 1-2 punch is, a couple of reasons the 1-2 punch is out wide. First of all, you're getting them off the court. But second of all, you know where the return is going to be, most likely. I mean, sometimes you get a player who likes to go down the line. That's a lower percentage shot, but if they're making it consistently, then you might shift over here and anticipate that and then go into the open court. So that would be, in this situation, and if you're a righty, check that. As a lefty, let's say I was playing another lefty and I wanted to set up that Fed play with the cross-court backhand to backhand, then I would go out wide, because it's more likely they get a return over to my backhand side. It'd be the reverse over here, where if you're righty to righty and you serve over there, serve out wide, then you would get some cross-court exchanges getting set up more frequently than not, because the return is going to come this way, and then you can set it up like that. So if you're trying to use the Fed play, keep that in mind, right? So if you're a righty, let's say you're a righty and you want to set up that Fed play. Well, going out wide in the deuce court, less likely to get a backhand. So I'm going to go down the line here, or down the tee rather. If I go down the tee, see where Andre hit that? And then I can set up the cross-court exchange there. All right, so understanding the return you're likely to get based on where you place the serve is super, super important, because if you have a play like the Fed play you like to use, or you have a play like the Rafael Nadal special, let's say it's just the forehand to forehand in this instance, then you want most of your returns coming over here to set up that Rafa play. If you're the righty and you want the Fed play, you want most of your returns coming to this end of the court. So you got to be mindful of where that return goes. Now, obviously another consideration is which side is the returner strongest off. And against a righty, I would, typically as a lefty, I just go with my lefty kick serve up high to a righty's backhand. That works for me because I like to set up the lefty-righty exchange, so I want most of my returns coming over here. So I would go, down the tee. That counts in college. I go down the, well, that was supposed to be down the tee. Here, let me serve that again. Down the tee. And let's see where most of these returns go. All right, so Andre went there, and then I would go over in that end, and I'm setting up the exchange I want. And even if Andre, I'm going to serve down the tee, put the return here, if possible. Thanks. So, all right, so if that's a backhand, I can still get it over there because I'm going down the tee, the inside out for a righty, the inside out backhand over here, heavily angled, is a tricky shot. So by going down the tee here, basically any shot I'm hitting from here over, I can put into that corner. So understanding the geometry of your opponent's return based on your serve, super important there. Now, what's equally as important is to understand your opponent's return tendencies based on where you like to serve it. So I like to use the 1-2 punch, but I have actually a different buddy who I play a lot, who if I serve out wide to his forehand, he loves to go over here. So before I kind of realized that, I would get burned on some out wide serves, so I didn't get it. Can you put a couple, I'm gonna go out to wide to your forehand, just put it over here. So against my buddy now, I just anticipate this shot much more frequently, and that allows me to take control off my serve. All right, so if it's over there, I would then go into the open court. Let me hit a better serve on this one. So one other thing I might do is sometimes I stand a little bit wider. This is just, again, one of the adjustments I make, but might be food for thought for y'all. I typically stand a little bit wider, give my opponent a little bit more court to go onto my forehand side because, of course, I want it over there. So unless they hit a great shot, I'll be in pretty good shape. All right, so you can see how I shaded over a little bit, anticipating that down the line because I knew my opponent. So that's the idea there, right? And then that shot, he actually got it pretty deep, but a lot of these balls, if he tries to go line, I'm over here and I can rip it to the open court. So another variation of this, and another way anticipating what your opponent's gonna do and kind of figuring out over the course of the match is important is, let's say you serve and volley, okay? Because same deal, like when I serve and volley against my particular opponent, my buddy who's not Andre, I will often go to his backhand because it's the weaker side. Andre, turn on these backhands and go down the line here. So all right. So what used to happen against my buddy is those high backhands, he actually would turn on and rip to the open court. So the adjustment I made was when I was serving and volleying, I would actually kind of just move over here more diagonally than I normally would, just anticipating that, that down the line shot, and then that put me in position to volley the ball away to the open court. So same return. Oh, sorry. All right, so I was basically just completely committed to the down the line shot because I knew that's where my my opponent typically likes to hit it. So those are good pieces of information to have for big points, like a break point, for example, or maybe a big deuce or something. Is, you know, the serve and volley play, if you really know where the return is typically or is likely to go, because you're putting pressure on your opponent and you're anticipating, and if you execute it right, then it's a great opportunity to win the point.